Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. We're coming to you this Thursday, unfortunately, from a very sick city, a place where many of the people in charge aren't just wrong, but increasingly are irrational. Washington is in the grip of unprecedented mass hysteria over Russia. Yes, Russia. Take 3 steps back. It's a freezing poor country on the other side of the globe where the average life expectancy is lower than that in Bangladesh. Russia is a place whose economy is smaller than the economy of Texas. It's a country that can barely produce a working escalator or non-poisonous vodka. And yet that country, which was regarded by sober people as sad and increasingly irrelevant, is, according to Democrats in Washington, in virtually complete control of the workings of the U.S. government. They tell us that every day, and they're starting to seem like they believe it. That's demented. The most striking new example comes from former Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper. In an interview just yesterday, Clapper claimed that Russia flipped the result of the 2016 election, got Trump elected over Hillary. Asked for evidence of that, Clapper admitted he didn't have any, because of course he doesn't have any. Nobody else has any either. There is no evidence that any foreign country changed a single American vote in 2016. And by the way, that was Clapper's position just 2 years ago, when it was the position of the Obama administration that vote tampering by a foreign power was completely irresponsible and impossible to contemplate. Now that Trump is in office, of course, Clapper and other Democrats are warning that Russia will try to subvert this year's midterms as well. They have no evidence for that either. Now, keep in mind that Jim Clapper is not some fringe radio show host or backbencher in Congress. For years, he held one of the top intelligence posts in the country. Yet he's delusional. That's terrifying. And he's not the only delusional one. The CIA operative spying on the Trump campaign also sounds like he's unbalanced. A report today from the Daily Caller finds that that man once falsely accused a Russian academic at Cambridge University of being a Russian infiltrator and said an entire intelligence seminar was compromised by Russian agents, like Kim Philby, were still alive. This afternoon, congressional leaders received a classified briefing from DOJ and intel officials about actual spying that took place in 2016, not spying from spooky Russian agents sent from the Kremlin, but from the Obama FBI. And that might put some of this in perspective. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch. Molly Hemingway is an editor at The Federalist. They join us now. Thank you to you both. Molly, I'll start with you. And I hate to start on a media question, but it determines how people understand a story, what they read and what they see on television. There are still news outlets as of tonight that are pretending like there was no spying on the Trump campaign. So can you just say definitively, do we know as a factual matter that the Obama FBI spied on the Trump campaign, or don't we?
Well, everyone knows that there was a spy, and in fact, people who were involved in the spying are admitting that there is a spy. They're saying, though, that because the government term is human intelligence informant or something like that, that therefore it's not a spy. Whereas normal Americans understand that when you are gathering information on someone surreptitiously, that's the common definition of spying. And more than that, that's just a stunning revelation that this was happening under the previous administration, that there would be this kind of surveillance, not just at least one human intelligence informant, but also wiretaps, national security letters, which are how you can secretly get a subpoena, and who knows what else is going on. So actually, like, widespread spying involving multiple people in the Trump campaign, and we still don't really know what's going on because they're trying to fight.
And that's the point. And by the way, I should point out in the interest of honesty that these are agencies controlled by the Trump White House. So it's not clear to me at all why we don't know this, and that why the committees in the Congress who have oversight over all of this don't know. There was a meeting today, famously, about this, Tom. Do you think members of Congress, again charged with oversight of this stuff, know the answer as of tonight?
No, my understanding is they're still being strung along. This meeting was for show. We want to see the documents.
But why would they be strung along?
Because these agencies have contempt for congressional oversight. You have this extraordinary situation of a Republican-controlled Justice Department and FBI attacking and undermining the congressional oversight activities of a Republican-controlled House and Senate. And they didn't want to turn over the documents, so they said, well, we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about the secret spy game we had, but it won't be public. We won't tell you what we have in terms of turning over documents, which is still the big fight. You know, Judicial Watch specializes in the Freedom of Information Act because we recognize the government documents really tell you what went on, and government official descriptions of what went on, as we're learning from the Obama gang that's describing this spy as an informant in a dishonest way. We need to see the documents. We need to know how much money was this person paid. Was money transferred as a result of his involvement with the Trump campaign? Who else was he working
Well,
with? Were there others?
But there's a time limit. There's a timer. Sand is passing through the hourglass here. If Democrats take the House and take control, majority control of these committees, then how will we find out? They have no interest in getting this information to the public.
And this is why it would be nice if everyone on both sides of the aisle had a common understanding that spying on political opponents is not a good precedent, and it's not good for having Americans having confidence in the FBI.
Have you seen any liberals say that?
I mean, there have been a few, I think very exceedingly few. Mark Penn is someone who was a Clinton advisor who has been making that argument. In addition to the issue that the Department of Justice thinks that they are accountable to no one, not the president under in whose branch they serve, or Congress, which funds them and created them, I think it also must mean that the information is really damaging, really dangerous, that they're willing to subvert any authority in order to keep that a secret. So this is something that I think they can keep this from getting out. I don't think they will actually.
Yeah, and the pretexts they use to hide this information from public view are dishonest. So tonight, Eric Felton, a reporter in Washington, has a piece explaining that one of the many facts redacted by the FBI in documents obtained through FOIA reveals that Andy McCabe spent $70,000 on a piece of office furniture. They held that back on grounds of national security. Does that imperil us, Tom, as a country, now that our enemies know that Andy McCabe spent $70,000 on a piece of office furniture?
I mean, of course it doesn't, and it shows you that the FBI and the Department of Justice can't be trusted to evaluate fairly whether documents should be released or not. And the president, who constitutionally runs the agencies, needs to intervene and stop himself from being strung along by his appointees, and tell them to release these records.
Right. He's listening
Review
to his
them
lawyers.
quickly.
Never listen to your lawyers. If there's one piece of advice I have for my children, it's don't listen to your lawyers, because they don't have the truth at heart.
Take their advice into account and get the information out.
Just do the right thing, I would say. Thank you both very much. Great to see you. Richard.